Okay, in the previous class, already I explained the concept of conditional probability, isn't it? So what is the formula for calculating conditional probability? Probability of A given B is equal to probability of A intersection B divided by probability of B. Okay, so here the event B must be happened or occurred. That means the event B must be satisfied before occurring the event A. That is called conditional probability of A given B. Okay, similarly P of B given A is nothing but the event A must be occurred or the event A must be satisfied before occurring the event B. That is called P of B given A. Okay. So this was already explained in the previous class. Probability of A given B is equal to probability of A intersection B divided by probability of B. Probability of B given A is equal to probability of A intersection B divided by probability of A. Okay. Now I am going to discuss the problems related to this conditional probability. Okay. Now I want to explain the problems related to this conditional probability concept. Okay. Remember this point. The event B must be satisfied before occurring the event A. That is called P of A given B. Okay. Next, P of B given A is nothing but the event A must be satisfied before occurring the event B. That is called P of B given A. Okay. So now let us solve the problems related to this concept. See the first problem. A pair of dice is thrown. Pair means two. Okay. Two dice are thrown. Two dice are thrown. So find the probability of getting 7 as a sum if it is known that the second dice always exhibits an odd number. Now split this problem into two events, that is event A and event B. What is event A here and what is event B here? We have to find the probability of getting 7 as a sum. This is called event A. Okay, we have to find the probability for this event. Okay, we have to get the sum of numbers on two dice must be 7. That is called event A. Okay, so before occurring this event A, event B must be satisfied. What is event B? It is known that the second dice always exhibits an odd number. Odd number means 1, 3, 5. These are the odd numbers. Okay, actually each die has 6 faces. Okay, the numbers which appear on dice are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 numbers. Among those, odd numbers are 1, 3, 5 only. Okay, now let us solve the problem. What is the sample space here? What is meant by sample space? Already I told you the definition of sample space. What is meant by sample space? The total number of possible outcomes in a random experiment is called sample space. Okay, how many possible outcomes we have? If you throw a single die, you have 6 possible outcomes because you may get any number from 1 to 6. So you have 6 possible outcomes for a single die. But here we are throwing 2 dice. So how many possible outcomes we have? 6 power 2. Here we are throwing 2 dice. That's why we have total number of possible outcomes is equal to 6 power 2. 6 square is nothing but 36. So sample space S is equal to 6 square is equal to 36. So sample space S is equal to 6 square equal to 36 because we are throwing 2 dice. That's why for the power of 6 we have to write 2 dice. Okay. Next event A. What is event A here? Write the elements in event A. Event A is equal to set 1, 6, 2, 5, 3, 4, 4, 3, 5, 2, 6, 1. What are these values? If you throw a die for the first time, you may get 1 comma 6. 6 1 plus 6 is nothing but 7, because we have to get the sum as 7. On first die we have got 1. On the second die we have got 6. So 1 plus 6, 7. The sum 7 is satisfied. Similarly, for the next combination, 2 comma 5. On the first die we got 2. On the second die we got 5. So sum of these two, 2 plus 5 is equal to 7. Again the sum is satisfied. For the third combination also, on the first die we got 3. On the second die we got 4. So 3 plus 4, 7. For the fourth combination, on the first die we got 4. On the second die we got 3. So 4 plus 3 again 7. So for each and every combination, the sum is 7 only. Okay, sum of two numbers on two dice must be 7. That is called event A. So event A is defined here. Okay, how many outcomes we got? 6. Okay, 6 combinations we got. Among 36 possible outcomes, only 6 outcomes are getting the sum as 7. That is called event A. Next, let us define event B. What is event B? What is event B? Here see the event B. If it is known that the second die always exhibits an odd number. Okay, on the first die, you may get any number from 1 to 6. But on the second die, you must get the odd number only. That is called event B. So in the same way, we can define event B as follows. Okay, on the first die, you may get the number from 1 to 6. Any number you may get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any number you may get on the first die. But on the second die, you must get an odd number. So what are the odd numbers? 1, 3, 5 only. So see the combinations. First one, 1 comma 1. First on the first die, we have got 1. On the second die also we have got 1. Next 1 comma 3. On the first die we have got 1. On the second die we have got 3. Next 1 comma 5. First die we got 1. On the second die we got 5. Okay. So on the first die, 1 is present. But on the second die, you may get an odd number like 1, 3, 5. So those three combinations are mentioned here. Similarly, on the first die, you may get 2. On the second die, you may get 1, 3, 5 odd number. So those three combinations are also mentioned here. 2, comma 1, 2, comma 3, 2, comma 5. Next, again the three remaining combinations 3, comma 1, 3, comma 3, 3, comma 5. On the first die, we may get 3, but on the second die, we must get an odd number. Odd number means 1, 3, 5. So those three combinations are also mentioned here. Next, on the first die, we may get 4, but on the second die, we must get an odd number like 1, comma 3, comma 5. Okay. Next combination, on the first die, we may get 5, but on the second die, we may get 1, comma 3, comma 5 odd number. Similarly, last combinations, see the last combinations. On the first die, we may get the number 6, but on the second die, we must get an odd number like 1, comma 3, comma 5. So all the possible outcomes are mentioned here because event B is defined as the second die must get an odd number. The first die may get any number from 1 to 6, but on the second die must display an odd number like 1, comma 3, comma 5. So all the possible combinations are mentioned here. Okay. Here, based on the statement given in the problem, we have defined the event A and event B separately. Okay, now you have to find probability of A given B, conditional probability. You have to find the probability of A given that event B must be satisfied. Okay, is it clear? So let us move on to next one. See the remaining problem. First, for calculating probability of A given B, we have to calculate probability of A intersection B and probability of B. Okay, then only we can substitute in the given formula or available formula. So what is the value of probability of A intersection B? A intersection B means probability of A intersection B. What is meant by A intersection B? Common portion. Okay, if we see the set theory, A intersection B represents the common portion or common area, common elements. So we have to calculate probability of A intersection B now. Okay, see the two events A and B, observe those two. Event A means getting the sum as 7. Event B means second die must display the odd number. First die may display any number from 1 to 6, but the second die must display an odd number. That is event B. So what is the joint portion or common portion for this? Vandana? Vandana raised hand.
Ma'am, by mistake వచ్చేసింది.
Okay. Okay, now probability of A intersection B means we have to see the common part for the events A and B. Okay. So see the combinations of event A and event B. Both events must be satisfied for the common portion. Okay, how many combinations we have? Only 3 combinations. Those are indicated with tick mark. Please observe that. Here tick mark is given at 2, 5 and 4, 3, 6, 1. Here in these 3 outcomes, the sum is 7 and the second die displays odd number. Both events are satisfied for these 3 combinations only. What are those combinations? 2, 5, 4, 3, 6, 1. 2, 5, 4, 3, 6, 1. So those 3 outcomes are common for A and B because these combinations are also present in event A also. Okay, so here we have got 3 combinations in common for both events A and B out of 36 possible outcomes. So probability of A intersection B can be written as 3 by 36. You will get 1 by 12. What is the probability of B? We have 18 outcomes in event B out of total 36 events. So you have to write 18 by 36, which is equal to 1 by 2. Okay. So substitute the values in the given formula. Probability of A given B is equal to probability of A intersection B by probability of B, which is equal to 1 by 12 by 1 by 2, which is equal to 1 by 6. Okay. Here I am indicating the common combinations for both events A and B. Okay, so first combination is 2, 5, second combination 4, 3, third combination 6, 1. So for these 3 combinations only, the sum is 7 and the second die displays an odd number. So both events are satisfied for these 3 combinations only. That's why you have to write 3 by 36 here. Okay, while calculating the probability of A intersection B. Okay, 3 by 36. So this problem is clear, I think. You solved these problems in mathematics, but I am revising the concepts. Okay. So now let us move on to next problem. Second problem. All of you see the second problem. If fair dice is rolled, consider the events A is equal to 1, 3, 5, B is equal to 1, 2, C is equal to 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then find first bit probability of A given B, second bit probability of B given A, third bit probability of A given C, fourth bit probability of C given A, fifth bit probability of A union B given C. So we have to solve 5 bits here. All bits are based on conditional probability concept only. So here single die is rolled. That's why the sample space becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have only 6 possible outcomes for the single die because here single dice is rolled. Okay. So sample space is defined like this. What is the probability of A? We have 3 elements in event A, 3 outcomes in event A. So probability can be found by 3 by 6 because event A has 3 elements. That means 3 outcomes. We have totally, actually in the sample space, we have 6 possible outcomes. So you have to write 3 by 6. You will get 1 by 2. Okay. Next, what is the probability of B? How can we calculate this probability of B? Observe the event B. B is equal to 1, 2. Here we have 2 elements. So 2 possible outcomes. Actually, in the sample space, we have 6 possible outcomes. So probability of B is equal to 2. Here we have only 2 elements in the B, 2 possible outcomes. But in the sample space, we have 6 possible outcomes. So you have to write 2 by 6 for finding probability of B. Okay. Next, probability of C. How can we calculate probability of C? C is equal to set 1, 3, 4, 5. We have 4 possible outcomes in C, event C. But in the sample space, we have totally 6 possible outcomes. So you have to write P of C is equal to 4 by 6. 4 by 6 is equal to 2 by 3. Okay. So for the 3 events A, B, C, we have calculated the corresponding probabilities. Probability of A, probability of B, probability of C. So probabilities are calculated for the 3 events. Okay. So here first solve the A bit. Probability of A given B is equal to, what is the formula? Probability of A intersection B by probability of B, which is equal to, what is meant by probability of A intersection B again? Common portion for both events A and B. Okay. So observe the events A and B. Event A has 3 numbers 1, 3, 5. Event B has 2 elements 1, 2. So what are the common elements? How many common elements we have for both A and B? Only one is present, isn't it? Here in event A also we have 1 and event B also we have 1. So only one common element is present. So you have to write 1 by 6 for calculating probability of A intersection B. Okay, we have only one common element for both events A and B. But we have 6 possible outcomes in the sample space. That's why you have to write 1 by 6 in the numerator. Next, what is the denominator value? Probability of B is already calculated as 1 by 3. So in the denominator, you have to write 1 by 3. So totally you will get 1 by 2. Okay. Is it clear? So if you rearrange this, you will get 3 by 6, which is equal to 1 by 2. Okay. Next, let us solve B bit. Probability of B given A is equal to probability of B intersection A divided by probability of A. Okay. So what is the difference between A bit and B bit? Here, the events A and B are positions are interchanged. Okay. So probability of B intersection A and probability of A intersection B both are same because both indicate common portion for events A and B only. So both are same. That's why numerator is same for the 2 bits. Okay. So probability of B intersection A can be written as 1 by 6 only. Okay. That's what I have written in the A bit also. So numerator is same. That's what I am saying. Next, what about denominator? Probability of A is already calculated, that is 1 by 2. So you have to write 1 by 2. Okay, if you rearrange this value, you will get 2 by 6 because 2 is present in the denominator of denominator. So you can take it to numerator, then you will get 2 by 6. 2 by 6 is equal to 1 by 3. Okay, that is B bit. Next, let us solve C bit. What is C bit? Probability of A given C. This can be written as probability of A intersection C divided by probability of C. Probability of A intersection C divided by probability of C. So how can we calculate probability of A intersection C? For both events A and C, the common elements we have to observe first of all, then we can write. If you see the event A and event C, what are the common elements? How many common elements we have? In the event A, we have 3 elements, 1, 3, 5. But in C, we have 4 elements, 1, 3, 4, 5. So how many common elements we have for both events A and C? 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5 are the common elements for both events A and C. So we have 3 elements in common. So in the numerator, you have to write 3 by 6. Okay, why should we write 6 here? Sample space has 6 possible outcomes. For this random experiment, the total number of possible outcomes are 6 only. Then you have to write 3 by 6 in the numerator. What about denominator? Probability of C is already calculated as 2 by 3. 4 by 6 or 2 by 3, both are same. Any one you may take. You will get the same answer only. Okay, you will get 3 by 4. Okay, did you understand? So probability of A intersection C. This intersection indicates the common portion or common elements or common area for both events A and C. So event A and event C are defined in the problem only. So if you observe the elements of event A and event C, event A has 3 elements, 1, 3, 5. Event C has 4 elements, 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So how many common elements we have? 3 common elements. 1, 3, 5 are the common elements. Okay. In C we have 4, the element 4, but which is not present in A. This element is not present in A. So we have only 3 common elements. You have to write C 3 by 6 in the numerator because we have 6 possible outcomes for this random experiment. Okay. Now let us go for fourth bit, that is probability of C given A. Probability of C given A. Here the positions of A and C are interchanged in fourth bit. Okay. Anyhow, the formula becomes probability of C intersection A divided by probability of A. Probability of C intersection A divided by probability of A. That is the formula according to conditional probability. Okay. So if you observe the numerators of both C bit and D bit, both are same. Probability of A intersection C, probability of C intersection A, both are same because both indicate common portion only. Both indicate common elements for A and C only. Okay, common elements of A and C only. So for the third bit and fourth bit, the numerator becomes the same, which is nothing but 3 by 6. Okay, remember one point, probability of A intersection C, probability of C intersection A, whatever it may be, both are same. So numerator is same for both bits C and D. Okay, so for the third bit and fourth bit, numerator is same. Okay, next, what is probability of A? What is probability of A? Probability of A is already calculated, that is nothing but 1 by 2. So you have to write 1 by 2 here. Okay, so which is nothing but this 2 is present in the denominator of denominator. So you may take it to numerator. You will get 2 3s, 2 into 3, 6, 6 by 6, you will get 1 only. Okay, now let us go for fifth bit. Probability of A union B given C. Here, if you observe the fifth bit, A union B can be treated as one event and C is treated as another event. So we have 2 events, A union B, C. So both are two events. So how can we write a formula according to conditional probability? Probability of A union B intersection C divided by probability of C. Okay, that is the formula according to conditional probability. Okay, remember one point here, A union B is one event. A union B can be treated as single event only. C can be treated as another event. So we have to write intersection part for the two events in the numerator, and regarding denominator we have to write probability of C, okay, in the denominator. Okay, next numerator. Numerator is nothing but probability of A union B intersection C. Okay, intersection for both events A union B and C. Okay, so this can be split like this according to distributive law. Distributive law was already explained in set theory. In the first class, I already explained in set theory what is meant by distributive law. You please go through that. So the numerator can be split like this. Probability of A intersection C union B intersection C. That means this union can be distributed among the two terms. Okay. Now denominator becomes same, probability of C only. Now again this numerator can be written like this based on addition theorem on probability. In the previous class I explained the addition theorem on probability. So according to addition theorem on probability, we have to write probability of A union B is equal to probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. So we have to apply addition theorem here, because A intersection C can be treated as one event, B intersection C can be treated as another event. Now probability of, for example, let this be X. Let the second term be Y. Probability of X union Y. Okay, let us assume that A intersection C. Let us assume that A intersection C is X and B intersection C is Y. So probability of X union Y. Probability of X union Y can be written like this. According to addition theorem on probability, you have to write probability of X plus probability of Y minus probability of X intersection Y. Okay. So what is meant by X here? A intersection C. What is meant by Y here? B intersection C. What is the common portion for X and Y? A intersection B intersection C. Okay, like this you have to split. Okay, so first while solving the fifth bit, you have to apply two laws. What are those two laws? First law is distributive law. After applying distributive law for the numerator, you will get the second expression. After applying addition theorem on probability, you will get this expression. Now you have to substitute the values simply. So what is the value of probability of A intersection C? That is already calculated, 3 by 6. 3 by 6 means 1 by 2. So here you have to write 1 by 2. Next, what is the value of probability of B intersection C? B intersection C. This is not calculated. So let us go for events B and C. Let us see the events B and C. In the event B, we have two elements or two elements, 1, 2. In the event C, we have 4 elements, 1, 3, 4, 5. So is there any common element for the events B and C? Yes, there is one common element for the events B and C. What is the common element? 1. 1 is the only one common element which is present for B and C. So probability of B intersection C can be written as 1 by 6. Okay, one common element is present for both events B and C. We have 6 possible outcomes for the sample space. 6 possible outcomes for this random experiment. So you have to write 1 by 6. So probability of B intersection C can be written as 1 by 6 minus. Again, the intersection part for the 3 events A, B, C. So again see this. If you observe the events A, B, C, so among these 3 events, we have only one common element, that is 1. 1 is the common element which is present in 3 events A, B, C. Okay, there is no another common element except 1. So again you have to write 1 by 6 only. Probability of A intersection B intersection C can be written as 1 by 6 only. Plus 1 by 6 minus 1 by 6 will cancel each other. You will get 1 by 2 by 2 by 3. Usha raised hand.
Ma'am, by mistake.
All of you please be in mute. Don't raise hands unnecessarily. So 1 by 2 by 2 by 3. So by taking this 3 to numerator, you will get 3 by 4. That is the answer for the fifth bit. Okay. So among these 5 bits, fifth bit is somewhat difficult when compared to remaining 4 bits. Remaining 4 bits can be solved very easily directly by taking the concept of conditional probability. Okay. But fifth bit we have to solve by thinking. Next, let us discuss third problem. All of you see the third problem. I think the screen is visible to you. Okay. The screen is visible to you, I think. So see the third problem. A bag contains 2 green and 3 black balls. A sample size of 4 is made. What is the probability that the sample is in the order B1, G2, B3, G4? What this B and G indicates? B means black, G means green. Okay. So actually a bag contains 2 green balls and 3 black balls. Okay, we have to pick 4 balls from the bag. We have to pick 4 balls from the bag one by one. Okay, one after the another, not at a time. Okay, so we have to pick the 4 balls from the bag one by one after the another. Okay, so among the picked balls, the first ball should be black ball, second ball should be green ball, third ball should be again black ball, fourth ball should be green ball. That is the order. In this order only we have to pick the balls from bag. Okay, if you pick the ball from bag, we don't know which one we will get. Okay, but we have to find the probability for picking the balls in this order only. Okay, see the problem. Sample size is equal to 4 means taking out 4 balls from the bag one by one, one after the another. Okay, so first if you pick the first ball from the bag, it should be a black ball. So what is the probability for this event? If you pick the ball from the bag second time, that second ball should be green ball. So what is the probability for this event? Next, if you pick the ball third time from the bag, it should be again black ball. So what is the probability for this? So like this, we have to find the probability for this order. Okay, here see the problem. The problem is solved here. The first ball should be black ball. So what is the probability of B1? Probability of taking a black ball first time. How many black balls we have in the bag? How many black balls? 3 black balls we have. Totally we have 5 balls. 2 plus 3, 2 green plus 3 black. Totally we have 5 balls in the bag. But we are picking one black ball from the bag. So you have to write the probability as 3 by 5. 3 is not visible here, but you have to take it as 3. 3 by 5. Next, what is the probability for taking the green ball next time? So P of G2 is equal to 2 by 4. Why the denominator is decreased by 1? Why the denominator is decreased by 1 here? After taking one ball from the bag, you have only 4 balls in the bag. We have 4 balls in the bag. After picking the first black ball, we have 4 balls in the bag. 4 balls remaining in the bag. So you have to write 4 in the denominator. Second ball should be green ball. How many green balls we have? 2 green balls. So you have to write 2 by 4. Okay. Next, probability of B3. B3 means we are taking the black ball while picking the ball third time from the bag. So what is the probability of taking black ball third time? How many black balls remain in the bag? Only 2 black balls, because one black ball is already picked first time. So we have only 2 black balls in the bag. So 2 by 3. Again the denominator is decreased by 1 because we have only 3 balls in the bag. That's why. So you have to write 3 in the denominator. Okay. So probability of taking black ball third time is equal to 2 by 3. Next, again, what is the fourth event? Probability of taking green ball. How many green balls we have in the bag? Actually, initially we have 2 green balls in the bag, but one green ball is already picked for the second time. One green ball is already picked. So we have only one green ball in the bag. So you have to write 1 by 2. Why again the denominator is decreased by 1? We have only 2 balls in the bag. Okay. Initially there are 5 balls. There is no doubt in that. So after picking one ball from the bag, you have 4 balls remain in the bag. Okay. You have 4 balls in the bag. So after picking another ball from the bag, you have 3 balls in the bag. After picking one more ball from the bag, you have 2 balls in the bag. So like that, we are picking one ball at a time. So the denominator is decreased by 1 every time. Initially denominator is 5 because we have 5 balls in the bag initially. Next, after picking the first ball, we have 4 balls in the bag. After picking the second ball, we have 3 balls in the bag. After picking the fourth ball, we have after picking the third ball, we have 2 balls in the bag. So like that we have to write the probabilities. Next, so you have to find this one. What is the probability of B1 comma G2 comma B3 comma G4? Okay. So what is the probability for picking the balls in this order? B1 comma G2 comma B3 comma G4. So what are the probabilities? The probabilities are already calculated above. Okay. Here the probabilities are calculated individually, but one probability depends on previous one. So like that only we have calculated. So simply you can substitute 3 by 5 into 2 by 4 into 2 by 3 into 1 by 2. All the probabilities we have to multiply here. Okay. Probability of picking the black ball first time is 3 by 5. Probability of picking green ball second time is 2 by 4. Probability of picking black ball third time 2 by 3. probability of picking again green ball. Probability is 1 by 2. So we have to multiply the corresponding probabilities. You have only 1 by 10. Okay. Is it clear? This problem is also based on conditional probability concept, because one condition must be satisfied before calculating the actual probability. Okay. So first time we are picking the black ball, there is no problem. But for the next probabilities, we are depending on first probability. So this problem is also based on conditional probability. That's why here it is written like this: P of B1 into P of G2 given B1. G2 given B1 means probability of picking green ball for the second time, provided that black ball is already picked for the first time. Okay. Next, what is meant by this one? Probability of B3 given B1 G2. That means what is the probability of picking black ball third time, given that first time we have picked the black ball and second time we have picked the green ball. These two events are already happened. So now picking the third black ball from the back depends on the first two events. Similarly, probability of G4 given B1, G2, B3, that means probability of taking the green ball fourth time, provided that black ball is picked for the first time, green ball is picked for the second time, again black ball is picked for the third time. Okay, so probability of picking green ball fourth time depends on the three events B1, G2, B3. So this problem is based on conditional probability only. Okay. Anand Sai, raised hand.
ఎస్ మ్యామ్ అదే నేమ్ రీనేమ్ చేస్తానికి బై మిస్టేక్ వచ్చింది మేడం రైజ్ హ్యాండ్.
ఓకే ఓకే
ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఫుల్ నేమ్ వచ్చేస్తుంది మ్యామ్, నంబర్ రావట్లేదు.
Login with your roll number only.
ఎస్ మ్యామ్ ఓకే మ్యామ్.
Then only I can identify the absentees.
ఓకే మ్యామ్. ఎస్ మ్యామ్.
Okay, remembering the names of 96 students is not possible.
ఎస్ మ్యామ్.
Okay. Next,
Okay,
let us discuss properties of conditional probability. What are the properties of conditional probability? We have 5 properties. What is the first property? For any two events, capital A and capital B in a sample space S, if B is a subset of A, then probability of A given B is equal to 1. For any two events, capital A and capital B in a sample space S, if B is a subset of A, then probability of A given B is equal to 1. Because here it is mentioned that B is a subset of A. That means B is a part of A. B is a part of A. Remember this point. B is a subset of A or B is part of A. So we have to write P of A given B is equal to 1, because B is a part of A only. Okay. Next, let us see the second property. If B is a subset of A, then P of B given A is equal to P of B divided by P of A. Actually, according to conditional probability, you have to write probability of B intersection A in the numerator. Okay. But if you see the intersection part or intersection portion, it is already mentioned that B is subset of A. B is a subset of A. That means B is a part of A. Okay, each and every element of B is present in A only. That's why there is no intersection portion. Okay. So you have to take probability of B divided by probability of A. Next, what is the third one? If probability of A given B greater than or equal to 0, that is conditional probability is always non-negative. Okay. So not only conditional probability, the probability value is a non-negative number. It should not be a negative value. Okay, if you are finding probability for getting something or probability of some event A, it should not be a negative number. It should be a positive number only. Okay, already while explaining the properties of probability, I told you that the probability value must lies in between 0 and 1, including 0 and 1. Okay, so it should not be a negative number. It must be a positive number. Okay, non-negative means positive only. Non-negative means positive only. Okay, next, if you see the fourth property, if two events A and B are in sample space, then probability of S given A is equal to S given B is equal to 1. If two events A and B are in sample space, then probability of S given A is equal to probability of S given B is equal to 1. Because A is a part of S, B is a part of S. A is a subset of S, B is a subset of S. Okay, that's why the probability is 1. This is based on first property only. Okay, fourth property is somewhat linked to first property. Okay, so first part is this one. Next, second part, probability of A given S is equal to probability of A and probability of B given S is equal to probability of B. Okay, so probability of A given S means we are finding the probability of event A only, provided that sample space is present. So which is nothing but probability of A. Similarly, probability of B given S is equal to probability of B only, given that sample space S is present. Okay, next fifth property, if two events are mutually exclusive, then the joint events A intersection C and B intersection C are also mutually exclusive. Then probability of A union B given C is equal to probability of A given C plus probability of B given C. This property will be explained in the next class. Here it is mentioned that two events are mutually exclusive. If two events are mutually exclusive, what is meant by mutually exclusive events? In the previous class, I told you the definition. Okay, what is meant by mutually exclusive events? If two events are mutually exclusive, then the joint events are also mutually exclusive. Then some statement is given for you. This will be proved later. Okay, in the next classes. Okay. So what are the properties of conditional probability? See once all of you have a look. By simply reading the properties, we cannot understand anything. We have to solve the problems based on this concept. Okay, so based on the points what we have explained in the properties, we are going to solve the problems. So it will be clear while solving problems. Okay. Next, in this class, three problems are explained for you, and the properties are also explained. Anyhow, proof for the fifth property can be explained later. Okay, you need not to worry about that. Next, in the next class, we will discuss total probability theorem. On Thursday's class, let us discuss total probability theorem. Okay. In this class, I explained three problems. No? So all these three problems are very easy for you because already you learned these concepts in mathematics. I think you solved these problems also. So now I'm going to end the meeting. In the next class, we will discuss total probability theorem. Okay. Do you have any doubts? Do you have any doubts? You can ask me.